Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second update of the latest in the Bitcoin scaling user-activated soft fork, SegWit, SegWit2x, potential ChainSplit, potential fork update. And the latest news is all attempts are being made to avoid any kind of disruption on August 1st. And I did want to put out this update. I've been looking at timelines. I've been looking at the latest news, and whatever information I have, I want to bring it to all of you guys. So thank you very much for tuning in. This is part 2 of yesterday's update where I went through all of these BIPs and their definitions. All right, I'm going to jump right into share screen. I'm going to go over what it looks like right now. Of course, things can change by morning. This is a very dynamic environment. Also, check out the World Crypto Network, because in the mornings, we do like a 10-minute recap of the latest news. Jimmy Song comes on now to give us, the update on the scaling situation. And then I put in my 2 to 3 minutes of price talk and analysis, okay? I still need to update my website. I don't know if I'm ever going to write that article about setting up my miner. I will be off to California. On Friday, I'm flying to Los Angeles. I'm actually not sure where I'm staying in Los Angeles yet, Friday and Saturday nights. If a few people that I know in Los Angeles don't get back to me, I'll need to find a hotel or find an Airbnb. So if people watching this, if you have a room, if you have an Airbnb apartment, ping me. I'm easy to find. But I'm not sure where the venue is, right? So there's a conference around there somewhere. But anyway, you know what? This isn't the podcast. I'll do it tomorrow when I do my normal podcast. Okay, so let's briefly talk about the price, very, very briefly. So these are the weekly candles, and the weekly candles are still defensive. They're still on a bearish trade. This is a red 4, and you're looking for a red 9, right? So we had a red 4 here, and then we flipped color. And now you're looking at a bullish trade on the 2. We're still on a red 4. This was a very good day. We had a very good couple of days. But don't confuse a rebound from an oversold condition with a bull market. We're not in a bull market yet, okay? This is still caution time, all right? So the weekly chart is still telling you you're better off being short than long. Now, this might change by the end of the week, but for now, we can only take it at face value. Now, the daily chart has flipped color, right? So there are several things going on here. First of all, this was a bearish trade, and once we got to a 9 on the 15th of this month, it told you to start taking your profits from a short trade. Many other things collided the following day, which gave me confidence to go long from a technical perspective between a reversal candle and a support point and a 9 buy setup. At the least, I was very confident in a 1 to 4 candle bounce. And then if the reversal is sustained, we go up. And if the reversal is not sustained, we go back down to new lows. So this was the first candle, even though it wasn't a rebound candle. This was the second, and the third candle is going to close in 30 minutes. So perhaps I'll still be on this video in 30 minutes when this candle closes and a new candle begins. So I am still in my 1 to 4 day bounce, and this is a tradable bull play from a technical perspective, and in about 36 hours, there will be information on whether it can be a sustained play or not. This color flip tells you you should be in cash, but if you did take on the bullish trade, which I kind of recommended, then you're still in this bull trade, and then you just stick with it. But after tomorrow's candle, everything needs to be reassessed, okay? Here is the latest developer, and I don't even know if this is still being updated or not. Developers are still not in support of SegWit2x, and plenty of developers are in support of the BIP148, which may still be avoided. Here is the latest node count. Let's take a look at the node count. I'm really, really happy with these user-activated soft fork nodes. These are the BIP148 compliant nodes, and this is the safest way to protect your Bitcoin. You create a BIP148 node. I have one running. It's over at my cabin. It's not at my apartment, but I'll probably bring it into my apartment just so I can keep an eye on it, okay? And there are directions here on how to set up that node and all this good stuff, all right? Okay, so things got a little complicated today, and thank you for the chat for pointing something out that once again, one of my slowly becoming idols, Gregory Maxwell, was able to discover and fix. So core devs to the rescue again. It never ceases to amaze me. It just never ceases to amaze me. All right. Okay. So this morning, Jimmy Song published a very good article. And by the way, all of these links are going to be in the description of this video. So go ahead and pull them up from the description of this video, except the last link. I haven't had time to pull that one up. But all of these links are in the description of my video. So Jimmy Song wrote a very good article talking about timelines, okay? And he really broke it down to the hour of when things can actually activate, okay? So here is the overall timeline, and here's how it's working right now, okay? All these, I can understand how new people can be confused with all of this because I'm slowly getting confused with it myself, okay? So you definitely want to read this article. I think Jimmy does a very good job of breaking it down, okay? And I'm going to show you some timelines. You know what? Maybe let me jump to the simplest timeline first, okay? Can I zoom in on this? Yes. So this is a timeline from CoinDesk, and this video will focus on timelines. This is a flow chart from CoinDesk. I actually do not like this flow chart, okay? But basically, it talks about SegWit2x, which utilizes BIP91. Now, SegWit2x official code is not being released until July 21st, which is in about 2.5 days, okay? Now, SegWit2x is the shell that I complain about all the time. This shell utilizes BIP91, and I have been fairly open to BIP91, but in the last 30 minutes, which delayed this video by a bit, it was shown that BIP91 may not be as safe as previously thought. And this will probably be fixed very, very quickly. However, BIP91 is in itself has a potential situation, not that I want to panic the market. We're not panicking the market, okay? This is a fixable thing that the smart people are already telling the miners how to fix, okay? This is what happens in code. But I prefer it happening by smart people, not complete, people that have already been fired from doing the job. Anyway, so BIP91 needs 80% miner compliance. The miners comply with BIP91 by signaling something called BIP4. Now, BIP4 is a bit of a hack on BIP1. Now, BIP1 is what you need to signal in order to get BIP141, which was the original safe way to get SegWit into the system. The miners blew it. They decided to turn this into a political arena, and now we're stuck with scrambling at the 11th hour, US reference, to get everything fixed and up and running, okay? So you're supposed to run SegWit2x as of July 21st. And if you go to coin.dance blocks, okay, the blocks section right here, you can see that 84% of miners are agreeing to run SegWit2x. If you run SegWit2x, you're automatically signaling for BIP91 with BIP91 with bit4 signal. Okay. Now, BIP91 is part of SegWit2x, but it is a standalone signal. So right now, miners can already signal for BIP91 with a bit4. I mean, I'm not a miner, guys. I'm just trying to break this down for the average person. So this is already at 68%. This is the number that needs to be 80%. So once this number gets to 80%, we are good. Now, of course, as of July 21st, it looks like the number for the last 144 blocks is already at 84%. So we're in the clear, okay? So we're in the clear for bit4 signaling, which is a hack on the bit1 signaling from this guy right here, BIP148. Now, a piece of information that was just confirmed by me is that a miner, you really need 80% signaling for bit4, even though they correspond to a bit1 signal. If we have 15% signaling bit1 and 75% signaling BIP91 with bit4, that's not going to get us SegWit before August 1st. You can't combine bit4 signaling with bit1 signaling. 15 plus 75 is 90%. So you either need 95% bit1 or 80% bit4. If you only have 75 or 78% bit4, you don't get to add the bit1 signaling to it. This is part of this hack to avoid the August 1st chain split. If this is confusing to you, maybe Jimmy is watching this and he can explain this a little bit better in the near future. All right. So next, the next thing we need to talk about. Let's get back to the flow chart by CoinDesk. Okay. So BIP91 signaling has already started. Now this takes place in block terms, but it's hard to talk about block terms for the average person. So for the average person, we're going to talk about in day terms, right? So you need approximately 2 days of 80% signaling of BIP91, whether it's through SegWit2x or without SegWit2x, though SegWit2x isn't going to come till July 21st. Once you're signaling for it for 2 weeks, for 2 days, SegWit becomes sort of locked in. And then once it becomes locked in, it takes a couple of weeks to actually fully activate it. And Jimmy goes through the timeline, right? So it's 2 days of signaling, then 2 more days to lock it in. Once it's locked in, as long as it's locked in before August 1st, the user-activated soft fork of BIP148 can be avoided, okay? So here we go. So will we get 80% miner support? If the answer is yes, then that's it. Then SegWit gets locked in. Everything on this side gets avoided. All these chain splits, hard forks, everything gets avoided. And then the next thing we got to deal with is a 2 megabyte hard fork sometime in November. So I'm not even going to bother dealing with this. This is completely irrelevant. I will argue this point, in October, November. So let's not even go there, okay? So there was a little bit of an issue that was just discovered with BIP91 that's being resolved. Not a big deal. Let me not panic anyone. And so what happens if we don't get BIP91? Let's say there is a problem with BIP91, and now we have an issue, okay? So at this point, we don't get to lock in SegWit before August 1st. If that happens, okay, then we have to deal with August 1st. So on August 1st, and this is completely oversimplified, way oversimplified, okay? I went through these numbers on my yesterday's video, okay? So for me, BIP148 user-activated soft fork is almost guaranteed with 25% miner support, not 50% miner support. And here's a quick recap as to why. With 25% miner support for BIP148, it almost removes the possibility of a hostile attack from the legacy chain, because they would need to commit more hash power than 25%. Hence, that hash power would leave the original chain. And they can't afford that, okay? They can't afford to lose like 25% hash power to drop the legacy chain to below 50%. And then they're trying to attack the user-activated soft fork side of the chain with 26%, which already has 25% of original, true committed mining power. Hence, combining that is like giving 50% of the mining power to the user-activated soft fork, okay? So I don't see that happening. Also, with 25% support, I can see more and more miners switching quickly. Now, if the user-activated soft fork gets almost no support, then nothing happens, okay? Then nothing happens, okay? So, again, if we get more than 25% support, I believe the chain split would be incredibly short, and we're done, okay? Now, if the user-activated soft fork gets very little support, like 5 to 15%, to me, that's the worst case scenario. Now we have a chain split, and we have an old client and this new client. Now, over here, I really hate this, right? Because Bitmain has threatened to hard fork the legacy chain to make it incompatible with the user-activated soft fork chain. So this ABC client needs to have this giant word that says hard fork on it. Okay, this is the hard fork. All right, this is the hard fork that will take place probably before new proof of work rules will be launched. Like, to me, this is blatantly incorrect by CoinDesk, okay? But I could be wrong. Okay? They're supposed to be the research leaders, but to me, this is blatantly wrong. To me, if there is a chain split, the threat of proof of work rules will only come into effect if the minority, if the user-activated fork is a very small minority, and it's under a threat, or a fear of a threat, or actually being threatened by the legacy chain or the ABC client. If they're being threatened, then they would do a proof of work rule change, and cause the hard fork. But most likely, this would come after a hard fork already took place. And this goes back to my statements in a video from like a month ago, where I said whoever hard forks first becomes kind of like the asshole in the community, okay? And nobody wants to be the asshole of the community. So nobody wants to, push the button to hard fork first. You have to be forced into it. So to me, I don't like that part. All right. So that's one timeline. Now let's go over to Jimmy's timeline. Okay. So he's given a couple of scenarios. Okay. So that's the failed version. Let's not go there. Okay. So the most optimistic timeline. So this is already not going to happen. Okay. So miners started signaling for BIP91, this guy, to avoid the August 1st user-activated soft fork, okay? And they had until July 19th to get to 80%, okay, on average, across all of the blocks being mined in this time zone. This is already not going to meet the deadline. So the most optimistic scenario is not happening, okay? Let's talk about the next scenario, which until about 5 hours ago was very, very likely, okay? This is the scenario where the clock resets at 2 GMT time on July 19th, okay? So that's in about a day and a half, okay? You have approximately 56 hours, okay, in order to get greater than 80%, okay? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Hold on a second. Did I not go too far? Oh, I'm sorry. Here it is. This is where I should be. Okay. This is not happening. So now we need this. Oh, I really shouldn't have done these live. It's a good article. You really have to read it. Sorry, guys. Optimistic timeline. This is the last scenario, right? So this is the optimistic timeline, okay? So, right. So the clock would start again on here on July 19th, okay? By July 21st, if we can have greater than 80% signaling for BIP91 with a bit 4, this is important, with a bit 4, needs to have over 80%, okay? We can then, it locks in BIP91. Then 56 hours later, BIP91 is activated, okay? Once it's activated, blocks that do not signal right here, once it's the moment it's activated, so this time is the same as this time. The moment it's activated, every block that signals, every block has to signal BIP141 for SegWit, the original, plan. If it doesn't signal for that, then it gets rejected. Okay, that block gets rejected. Okay, so July 27th, there is a difficulty adjustment. And this is where we want to be. We want to get to this difficulty adjustment. That would be nice before August 1st. If this happens, this is an optimistic scenario that is still possible, okay? Then everything goes smoothly and you don't have to worry about August 1st, okay? Now, here is the deadline timeline, okay? There's one more. You can push this by 2 days and it still becomes a fairly optimistic scenario. So all of this can be pushed by 2 days. In addition, it can be pushed a little bit further, but now it gets a little bit trickier, okay? So this can also get pushed by a couple of days. The original plan was 2 days after this guy. So all of this gets pushed by 2 days, and you still have 2 days to spare, okay? And then there's one more possibility where everything gets pushed to July 26th, and it can still kind of work, okay? But don't expect the August 1st code to get pushed back by even an hour to accommodate. That's not happening, which is why everyone needs to still be prepared with a BIP148 node. And then he also talks about the failed scenario, okay? So definitely read this article. Here's a much more detailed timeline, and thank you, Eric, for putting this together. And he also talked about all of this. I was going to go through each one of these steps, but I don't know if I want to spend this kind of time. This link, this is everything that Jimmy said, and this is the more detailed version of the Coinbase article. And this link is in my video description, so please check that out. And I found this very, very interesting. I spent about 30 minutes reading this in detail before I started this video, okay? So please check that out. I strongly recommend it. Okay, so the public service announcements may go away if we're able to resolve the split before August 1st. Okay, so this is a real public service announcement on Bitcoin.org, not the garbage that was put out on Bitcoin.com pushing an agenda. This is what a real, public service announcement is, and it's completely informational purposes only. Okay, no agenda here. Just telling you how it is and what can happen. Okay. Now, Dimos, another person I personally consider fairly responsible as a person, not responsible for the mess, but I've never had a Reddit account, but I've never had a real problem with Dimos. And he also put out a very good informative post on, playing it safe for BIP141. I'm not sure if this link is in my video description, but I should probably add it. Okay. Once again, here are the latest numbers for signaling and what's being mined. And keep in mind that the blue is the last 1,000 blocks, which is approximately this week. And the orange is the to the up 144 blocks, which is approximately 1 day. Okay. Now, this is also interesting. This is the SegWit2x signaling, this red line. Okay. And this blue line is the BIP141 segregated witness. But again, you can't signal for this and this, right? Like right now, we do need this. So one more good website, xbt.eu. It's also showing you, the countdown to the BIP148 on August 1st, and also showing you how many people are mining, BIP91 to avoid the August 1st chain split, and how many people are still mining BU, and how many people are only mining segregated witness and don't really feel comfortable with, mining BIP91 because it was rushed. This is not how code is done. This is what everyone should be mining, guys, right here. This is the safe code right here. That's the safe code, okay? Personally, I think that if all the economic nodes jumped on BIP148, that would be the second safest solution. But companies like BitPay and Coinbase, and amongst others, Shapeshift apparently, don't understand, don't feel like doing things in the second safest possible way. So now we're doing BIP91. And even though BIP91 may avoid complications on August 1st, there is a potential for even a bigger complication before August 1st, which has always worried me, but it worried me from the SegWit2x side of the equation, not necessarily from the BIP91 side of the equation. So let's jump to this. Okay, this is very important. This just came out by no other than Gregory Maxwell, which is, in my opinion, is one of the 5 smartest people in the entire crypto space. I'd put him in the top 5. Okay, he's up there with Satoshi and Hal Finney. Of course, Satoshi is nobody knows where he is, and everyone knows where Hal Finney is, but his brain power is currently not available. Okay, so Gregory Maxwell is up there with my top 5 to 10 people, and most of them are in core. Okay, so he explains a situation where mining, this is potentially a little bit complicated for me. I may not be too technical enough. Nor, by the way, I just saw this like 10 minutes before I started this video. So I have not had time to absorb all of this information myself, but it feels like the absorption of this information is what caused the price drop of Bitcoin in the last several hours, okay? Because this was just published by Gregory Maxwell 5 hours ago, okay? And he's explaining the situation that because BIP91 does not have the node support. This is my understanding of it, right? Because the BIP91 is being rushed and it's being signaled, there may not be enough node support to properly move these blocks around. And it has to do with BTC1, which is the BIP1, which is actually BIP141, right? Because BIP4 is like forcing BIP1, if I have that correct, unless I got those backwards, which I don't think I do, okay? But if I do, somebody will correct me in the comments to my videos. Lots of people have been very helpful, guys. Thank you for that. So he explains a situation where there are potential risks with this signaling. And there was also something about Bitfury changing the way they were signaling blocks in the last hour. And Matt Carrillo, the blue Matt, who's another core developer, very smart guy, very young guy, very smart guy, huge, very important to the Bitcoin industry. Matt, keep up the great work. Please don't stop. Okay. So he explained how he has code in something about fiber network. Again, I'm not as familiar with it. Let me see. I saw it here. There it is. The public fiber nodes will be adapted later today to relay all the blocks which they receive, which are recent. This should be sufficient to solve the issues as well. So basically, right now, we have core developers like Greg Maxwell and Matt Carrillo and James Hilliard. I believe he's also a core dev. And I'm sure a lot of others. And there it is. Yeah, Garzik agrees on the issue. Okay, good, great, thank you. Thank you for starting half of this mess. All right. So I trust Matt and Greg Maxwell and several others to fix this situation fairly swiftly. But this news may have potentially just dropped the Bitcoin price by about $75. In addition, this may delay the activation of segregated witness with BIP91 by a couple of days, but it still gives us plenty of cushion. All right. So definitely something to read. I will add this link to my video description. And on this note, this has pretty much been my update on what's going on right now. I would, if I had to throw a number out there, I would give it like I guess let's go with an 80%. I would give it like an 80% chance that the BIP148 chain split on August 1st is going to be avoided. And we might even avoid it by a good, 48 plus hours with some time to spare. And it's good that we have time to spare, because if this bug, or this, I wouldn't even call it a bug, if this, I guess, I don't even know the right way to call it, because it's not as bad as a bug. It's more like, potential, miscommunication between relaying blocks. So if this miscommunication was found 3 or 4 days from now, then there could have been a bit of a panic in the market, and people might not have been ready for BIP148 August 1st. Okay, so a lot of people are starting to get complacent about the avoidance of. I wouldn't even call it. Let me use better words. People were starting to get complacent about the August 1st complication. Earlier today, it seemed like you can start to breathe easy, and there's nothing easy in Bitcoin. Nothing easy in Bitcoin. Okay, so let's make sure that these guys like Gregory Maxwell and Blue Matt and James Hilliard and hopefully Peter Will and Vladimir, hopefully they'll fix all of these situations, and BIP91 will be good to go. And I would be happy with BIP91, and we'll deal with the 2x part of SegWit 2x at a future date. Okay, let's just get SegWit in there. All right. On this note, I'm pretty much done. I believe I'm about 30 minutes in. If you guys want to throw some questions at me that I may or may not be able to answer. And also keep in mind, later today on the World Crypto Network, I believe Thomas and Jimmy Song are going to have a show. I may or may not join. I don't know. Probably not. I'll let them just, talk it out. And hopefully Jimmy will be talking about this in detail. He is a developer. He knows it way more than me, but now you know what to look out for. All right. Let me grab like one or two questions. I don't think I'm qualified to answer much other than what I already know and just told you guys. All right. So I'm not sure if Richie Rich, who's been very helpful, will be able to pull together some questions for me. So I am looking at the live chat. We're at about 500 viewers right now, which is pretty damn good. I will be doing my price analysis tomorrow in full. So come back and check that out. I guess I have to give a shout out to Cliff High, who gave me a shout out on his show, and my followers went up by almost 1,000 YouTube subscribers over the last few days. So if you are new to my channel and you're coming over because Cliff High mentioned my name, welcome. I hope you enjoy the channel. This is a brand new series only because of the current complications with scaling Bitcoin. Normally, I stick to economics and trading and charting. All right. What are my odds for the hard fork happening? Very small. I'm giving that less than 5% chance. So the odds I'm giving to a hard fork happening, so the odds I'm giving to a hard fork happening on purpose, and that hard fork being sustainable, is less than the odds I gave on the SEC approving the Winklevoss ETF. And I believe those odds were 5% and less. Okay, so it's about the same. I give it a 5% chance. What do I think is the probability of BIP91 not happening? I give that probability very small. I am leaning 80% that BIP91 will bring us SegWit before August 1st. So I am fairly optimistic on BIP91. The Greg Maxwell and Matt Carrillo and James Hilliard will solve the current complication with BIP91. They'll get it solved within the next 24 to 48 hours, and we'll be back on pace. The next signaling starts on the 19th at 2 o'clock, according to Jimmy's article right here. So the next signaling period begins right here, and hopefully all the issues with block propagation will be resolved, and this period will have greater than 80% signal for BIP91 by July 21st at 10 p.m. GMT. Now, I think July 21st is the day I'm flying to California, so I may or may not be on an airplane at this time. Okay. Oh, you want to see the candle? Okay, yeah, because we just had an end of day close. Okay, so as you can see, this candle closed at the top of my green channel. And it's a green one, so it's a price flip. So there are several things going on here, right? And like I know my charts, I know my indicators, right? So to me, this was a tradable bounce, even though if you hard code this indicator, it told you that this is when you fully drop your short position. And if today's candle goes above the high, tomorrow's candle, right? If the candle that started 3 minutes ago goes above the high of today's candle, which was 2380 on Bitfinex, okay? If it goes above this high, then Bitcoin becomes a buy, However, if you believe in the nines, one of the rules after the 9 is you get a 1 to 4 candle bounce, and then you resume the downtrend. So in this case, and with the 50-day moving average right there, I would already be in the 1 to 4 day bullish trade. I would not add to my position above today's high. I would wait for the following day's candle. I would wait for the 5th candle in this 4-day bounce. I would wait for the 4-day bounce to play out, because it may still be a dead cat bounce where it looks bullish and then it completely collapses. I would wait for the 4 candles to play out. After that, I would want to see a candle trading higher than the previous candle. And then I would enter my bullish trade or add to my bullish trade from here, okay? In addition, I would love to see a close above the 50-day moving average. If all that happens, right? If today's candle is green and tomorrow we start trading, not tomorrow, sorry, the day after, right? So this is already tomorrow's candle. So if the candle for Thursday is trading, but preferably closing above the previous candle and above the 50-day moving average, I would then be very confident in the price of Bitcoin, and I would be calling for a buy signal. And at the same time, the long-term view would probably be above this green line at 2,500 on Bitstamp in this case, in which case your weekly position would no longer be bearish and it would be neutral, setting up for a long play, okay? Because this 9 gave you a 1, 2, 3, 4 week bounce to the downside with a potential up, but the up didn't happen. That's why there was a trade to the downside. Anyway, this is what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. I guess I got off on a little bit too much of a tangent here. All right. All right, Rich is back helping with questions. Let me take like 2 more questions. I am going to end this video within the next 10 minutes. These videos I will be keeping to under an hour, okay? Would you consider having a small open BTC stop to hedge against the current situation? Well, at the moment, if I was bullish in this trade, where would I set my stop loss? I would set my stop loss probably below today's low. If I got into this trade at 1950, like in my tweet said 1950 is a buy. If I got into this trade at 1950 and I did not panic sell right here at the low, okay, this would be a fairly good gain. I would set my stop loss in this vicinity right here. You have the low of the previous candle. You have support and support. So there's lots of support right here, okay? And right now you're stuck at resistance. You were stuck at resistance here for half a day, and you closed at resistance here. My resistance anyway, everyone's different, okay? If I was in the bullish trade, I would set a stop loss somewhere between, what do we got here? Between 2190 on Bitfinex and 2140 on Bitfinex. So somewhere between 2140 and 2190, I would set my stop loss, okay? Because if it goes back here, things may get ugly, okay? And if we have a positive day over the next 24 hours, I would then raise that stop loss to probably the low of whatever the low over the next 48 hours is, okay? So I would start playing it very, very safe, because if we've solved our problems in scaling, price should break out. Price should, like, if we can get SegWit without any trouble, I'm expecting price to just take off like a rocket ship, okay? And I'm sure you've heard these references before. All right, next question. Tone, how important do you think is the average user run a full node and even run a miner to vote on the Bitcoin network? To me, the mining of Bitcoin by Chinese is a problem. Okay, so let me explain that. So nodes are not, like nodes should not be voting mechanisms. Right now, nodes are partially being used as voting mechanisms. Mining should never be used as voting mechanisms, but it seems to have turned into that, okay? So the reason you run a node, the primary reason, where are my nodes here? The primary reason you run this node in blue, that's the node that I'm running, by the way. I'm running this node in blue. But if you're in blue, in yellow, or in gray, you're actually, gray is, it's still okay, you're just not commenting, okay? So the primary reason to run a node is to validate your own transactions. When you use a wallet, like, what do you call it? Blockchain.info, which I personally hate, okay? When you use a wallet like blockchain.info, you are not validating your own transactions. You are letting some company validate the transactions for you. And Bitcoin gives you power to validate your own transactions. The power to be your own bank isn't just holding Bitcoin. It's validating your Bitcoin transactions. So running your own node allows you to do that. Now, wallets like Airbit and Green Address and Samurai Wallet, they're phone wallets. They give you the option to validate your own transactions even though you're using their wallet. But you can choose not to validate the transactions yourself with a full node and letting them validate it for you. It's not an ideal situation, but at least they give you an option to validate your own transactions. Running a full node is itself a Bitcoin wallet. It's the Bitcoin wallet designed by the Bitcoin Core team. It's not the most user-friendly wallet because that's not their priority. Their priority isn't to make you comfortable. Their priority is to make Bitcoin safe, okay? So it's not the most user-friendly wallet, which is why most people don't use it. But putting Bitcoins on that wallet mandates that you're validating your own transactions. And you can validate these transactions in any way that you choose, which sort of creates a quasi-voting mechanism for what you want to see in Bitcoin, okay? So it's important to run your own node to actually be your own bank, not telling people you're your own bank by holding Bitcoin, but actually being your own bank, okay? You also decentralize the network, right? If only 12 people ran a full node, like the crazy Gavin Andreessen wants you to do, then only 12 people have the copy of the Bitcoin blockchain. That's not very decentralized now, is it? Okay. And now here comes the mining part. All right. This may be a little more complicated. So it's a bit unfortunate that mining is concentrated in China, but it is what it is. Okay. As long as these nodes remain decentralized and, cohesive with each other, the miners can't do anything. They can't even sell the Bitcoin that they mine for like 100 blocks or whatever. And if they're mining Bitcoin, these nodes don't recognize. They have nobody to sell it to, okay? So I now believe that mining to help decentralize Bitcoin is important. So I will be running my miner. And I don't believe I will recoup the cost of this miner, but that's okay. I've been renewing my gym membership the last 3 years, and I haven't made it to the gym once in the last 3 years. So, none of us are new to spending money on something at a loss, okay? So no one is new to this, right? When I go away for a month, I don't call my internet provider and turn off the internet in my house, even though nobody's using it. I don't do that, right? I'm at a loss, right? if your phone plan charges you for a gig of data, but you don't use the gig of data, my phone plan doesn't do that, but if yours does, then you're paying for a service that at a loss. You're not utilizing it in full, right? So I think that because of the recent incident, more people will be willing to invest in mining, just with one miner, two miners, just to support the network. Keep it decentralized, mine at a loss, but be proud that they're mining at a loss to support the network. And I think that future is coming. Also, things fluctuate, right? The Chinese will not be 80 or 70% of Bitcoin mining forever, okay? I personally did not buy an Ant miner. I bought the Avalon. What did I buy? I'll show you guys. So I bought the Avalon 741 from Canon, okay? This is the miner that I bought. This is the miner that I set up. I have a video about it, okay? I need an additional power supply. I kind of screwed up on the power supply, but I have, I help you guys out. I have a video explaining all of this. And I believe this miner is compatible to whatever Bitmain is selling you. And you know what? If it's all about the money, then buy Bitmain. But if it's about protecting your Bitcoin, then maybe you buy a slightly lesser miner, but at least you're proud of what you're doing, right? And I believe this miner is as good as the S9 by Bitmain. All right. So that's kind of my view on it. I'm going to be very happy to support the Bitcoin network at a slight loss. Okay. All right. Next question. Tone, did I watch the WCN talk between Vortex, Andrew DeSantis, and Gabriel Devine? I'm about 30 to 40 minutes into the 2-hour talk, I think. It was pretty good. I mean, Andrew DeSantis is great. So let me see here. Do I have World Crypto Network? Here it is. World Crypto Network. Guys, definitely check out Today in Bitcoin. They're only 10 minutes. They're absolutely great. So there you go. You can see how far along with the red line. You can see how far along I'm into the video. It's about an hour and a half. I think I'm a little more than that. So I'm about 20, 30 minutes in. I will try and watch it. If not tonight, then tomorrow morning. All right. All right. I have not been looking at the live chat. I've been looking at, the questions that Rich sent me. I think this video is now almost an hour long. I'd like to kick it. I'd like to keep it to under 1 hour. So I will call it a night. On Friday, I will be traveling to California. I will be in LA for 2 days. I will then go to Santa Barbara for a couple of days, and then I'm going to be off to San Francisco for a couple of days. So I will probably be speaking at the San Francisco meetup on the 25th of this month. So, so come out if you're in San Francisco, and if you're in LA, reach out. And I'm still looking for a place to stay in LA. So if you know of anything, feel free to leave a comment in the YouTube video. Or a link, or contact me by email. My email is in the description of the video. All right, thank you very much, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Again, those that are new to my channel, I'm Tone Vase. You can find me on Twitter as Tone Vase. And I'll see you all on the next one tomorrow morning. World Crypto Network daily analysis for 2 minutes, and then my normal show around 2 p.m. Eastern time to accommodate European viewers. All right. Catch you on the next one, and good luck. And let's hope there is no chain split on August 1st. That's all we can hope for at this point.